But it made things go really long and it was kind of hard on everybody.
And we don't have the headsets to
Yeah.
be able to do the simultaneous translation.
Yeah.
That's really outside our budget right now. I know the high school has some opportunities to be able to do those programs, but we haven't been able to pull that in yet. So right now it's trying to find similar or the same programming that can either be done by the same instructor or an instructor that knows the programming, like we did with the DPP. We found an instructor who can do it in Spanish. So it's just trying to grow up enough to have programming that will fit that. But that is one of the things we'll do when we start talking about when that programming will happen. Right now, we're going to leave things limited to Tuesday nights and that third Saturday. I can't add in additional Saturdays or additional nights unless we add in additional staff.
Right.
I can't add in
additional rooms on Saturdays that could be simultaneous.
Oh, yeah. And that's
Yeah.
where we're trying to figure out what our break point is for capacity. Right. And this last weekend was the capacity conversation.
May, we're gonna have a lot of people on the count. Yeah.
Was it
Yeah.
month is May?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But
Right.
even this Saturday, we have, multiple things going on.
Oh, yeah.
So
Okay.
it's
So
picking
one
up.
of the heartbreaking things is that the Vista Community Clinic did not get their
Yeah.
grant for their outreach program. And that really hit hard for me.
Yeah.
I'm sure it did for you too, but I had asked my colleagues at the board table to give it a chance. And then for whatever reasons, the information wasn't robust enough. My question is, are they still available to us in some sort of capacity? In other words, they do have people who can do it all in Spanish.
Yeah, they haven't canceled any of the trainings they have set up for their, I don't call it I think they have another name for it. I'm not thinking of it, but yes, their Promotores program. So they haven't, as far as
That's
I
good
know,
news,
that's,
yes.
And they're at the beginning stage, correct?
yeah, restarted it, I think.
So
Yeah, and there's been different organizations that have that model.
right.
And so they've been here for such a long time.
So they started in Fallbrook. They were here for a long time. It went away.
Mhm.
They tried to start it back up. So remember, we funded them within this fiscal year. So they're funded from July through June of this year. So they would be finishing no matter what. They wouldn't be canceling. I do have a meeting with them
Good.
to discuss what happened with the grant. So I will have a full explanation of how they need to tell
Can you
the
wait
stories.
just a minute?
Just 1 second.
Yeah.
We are doing the DPP program in Spanish coming up this fall. That's the plan. So we have that coming up. We're doing mental health first aid in Spanish, which we're excited because we have an instructor now, an in-person instructor. Before we would have to do it by Zoom, and the instructor was in Mexico. So this is nice that they are able to provide us, an in-person workshop now for that. And we do the CPR during the year at various times in Spanish. Yeah, those are some of the regular things on the Wellness Wednesdays.
So it's still hit and miss. It's definitely not full equity on both programs.
Yeah.
No.
Well, as long as we keep working it, that's all we can do.
Yeah.
And, that's what we'll do. You know, it's just keep seeking, finding, doing.
Yeah, and we'll continue to reach out to VCC to see what options they've got. Same thing with the other FQHCs. The thing about VCC's promotor is the Quarter de Popular.
Yeah.
See, I say it wrong, but I know what the words are. Is to try to find a way to better integrate that growing group into existing groups as well. So it's not as isolated. I think in looking at what they do in the Vista area with that group, which is very robust, it's integrated. Ours is not, in part because they're just growing it again. So we've got to find a way to better integrate them into more of our programs and partners. I don't know how that's going to look yet. The problem is many of the programs that the nonprofits here are also only in English.
Right.
So trying to find a way to integrate both of those is going to be part of the challenge.
Well, I know you're on the lookout.
We are definitely on the lookout.
Anything that you discern that can help us build it. I mean, I'm not even thinking it in, if we have this here, we want it here. I'm not even thinking that model, but if we could, like the mental health first aid is a great one to have established because that's like the basic level of how people can help each other.
Yeah.
And then we go from there and try to build around it.
Our regular ongoing programs are ones where we've had probably the best luck finding English and Spanish.
Yeah, we've had the diabetes self-management classes in Spanish before, but we make a contact, that's been a hard one, and then it doesn't, like a one time, and it didn't, for whatever reasons, organizations change directions, things happen, so we're still, and if there's topics and things that would be really of interest, it doesn't have to all be like, do it in English, do it in Spanish. It's convenient for us at marketing and different things, but if we're not able to do that, like there's topics or speakers that would be of interest in Spanish, then it doesn't have to always be in tandem.
I don't feel like it's the topic, because I do think a lot of people, especially those that Hispanic or are interested, is just getting access to that information. Like, because I know you guys have a presence online, but finding it sometimes is not what don't know how to search for it, in a sense, that information. It's usually more oral, the way they get, like, the comadre tells you, oh, they're gonna have a presentation, so in the school, you should come. Like, that's how they get their information, even though I know you have social media outlet. It's just not where they go first.
Yeah.
So to find like, hey, who's having a presentation, or I'm dealing with this with my kids, like, where do I go? More like, I need to talk to my neighbor, I need to talk to so-and-so to get that information.
And that's been where we probably had some of the strongest growth with Katya, going to a lot of these tabling events.
And it takes repetitive time. It takes a long time to do that.
It does. You're right. So it's just a matter of trying to do that. So I know that Raquel and Judith and Patty and Katya, our four bilingual folks, have all gone to multiple events. Like you were at, Judith went to the Hope Clinic for Women event, right? And then Jasmine goes because she's, the organizer.
But I always take a Spanish speaker with me because I know a lot of the events, especially with Hope Clinic for women, they have a very big Spanish population. So I was like, I at least try to have someone Spanish speaking because they are being served, and a lot of times they're giving out the free stuff. So
that helps, yeah.
That really helps.
So that is definitely front of mind when we're talking about either outreach efforts, programming efforts. I know Jasmine is on the Spanish speaking Facebook pages.
Yeah. I try my best with, sometimes ChatGPT translates for me, or I have Katya be like, what are they saying? What are they looking for?
Does this mean?
Give me a response, how you should respond, so it doesn't sound like Google Translate.
Right. So there's some efforts there, just so you know.
Keep doing it.
Yes, keep doing it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that won't,
At some point,
there's
it'll
no
break.
reason it would change.
Well, the other item has to do with outreach to community leaders and organizations, and I'll share what my thinking has been on this. We are like the best kept secret in this town. people who should know who we are and what we do don't know. It's amazing. So I would like to propose a systematic way to get more of us out into the community molecules. And it might be something like this. You know, we do a great job with the newsletter, posting it, et cetera, et cetera. I'm thinking a quarterly something that would go out to all the nonprofits, the presidents thereon too, as long as they're not ousted at the board meeting. Where we really give them a thoughtful update, not long, but thoughtful. I see you, Jasmine. Because I think we are going to have to frame our work consistently and frequently. And it has to do with three things for me. Good governance. We're living in an age when people hate government. They view it with great disdain. They think government isn't efficient. It's eroded the trust in government. Not the people in this room maybe, but so one is to really be a presence of where we are good government, and we're efficient, we're strategic, we go where the need is, and we monitor our own performance. And that's a whole cycle of good governance there, right? Secondly, letting folks know where their tax money goes. That is a specific, beautiful thing we can say. And I'm picturing something after each quarter of the reports that go out.
The impact reports?
Yes, because I want to talk to you about those, figure out how we can, for some of them, get them going better. But I think the impact statements with pictures especially. I was at the Boys and Girls Club auction on Saturday. Anybody else there?
Not
Okay. Fantastic. I think they raised $150,000 or some such thing. But they have a really, they're smooth operators with how they tell the kids stories, and of course everybody wants to help the kids. But if we use the presidents of each of the nonprofits in this town, all the way from the most organized like Rotary, all the way down to just loosely couple, I think we can spread our story so that it starts sinking in. Because my third point is, we're elected officials. And we need folks to know what we're doing at a more visible level. Because as you know, we're now, it's not community-wide, it's zones. And I don't have the capacity to go out to tell people what we're doing. I think we have to do somewhat of a storytelling that kind of titrates down through the nonprofits. I think they're a good lever for that. And once we get a formula for it, it won't be added, it won't be like another part of your backpack. Okay. If we can couple it with the quarterly reports, I know you all will figure out an efficient way to do it. I just think that we have a reputational capital that we're not spending. When we build our reputation, we are the flashlight of good governance. And I think that radiates out into other places like school boards. And when they see what we're doing, et cetera, et cetera. So I just want to plant those seeds for consideration for the 25-26 kind of thinking about who are we and how do we tell our story. We have some wonderful partners that tell their story beautiful through their grants, right? And so maybe we can do some of that too, over and above what we do now. What we do now is fantastic. I'm just saying, let's saturate deeper into the community so that we're not the best kept secret. Oh yeah, you used to have a hospital. Yeah, that was like 10 years ago.
Yeah, so
And if we're lucky enough to get some additional clinical services, that deserves a big horn blow.
Well, yeah.
You know, on and on and on.
Press if and when that occurs.
Yeah, and it may be 5 years down the pike, we don't know. But at least we can have some runways to the And not just the nonprofits, but like every school superintendent. Maybe even down to principal level, because they see a lot of people.
It's getting them to engage with us. So my pushback a little bit is there's a lot of information we're pushing out. We can target the messaging better, so maybe it's not as just, here's all the events that are happening. And try to bring forward a relevant, well-crafted impact story from either one of the grantees, or now we have our own. Right, we have our own impact stories where we can talk about DPP, we can talk about Katya, we can talk about those programming efforts. And we do send those out, and I know Teresa primarily and mine, I'm second. We'll do a lot of presentations, one-on-ones, because those get heard better than the electronic, because we're all just besieged with emails. Village News is not a viable
They park
thing.
them over here.
Yeah, it's not really a viable thing. So we're doing quite a bit of the outreach components on that, but it's getting that connection to some of those specifics. Like I can go to our two largest superintendents here, Bonsall being third, Bayecitos, Melson will take and listen to anything we have because we bring in good stuff. But finding what's relevant to put out has to be part of maybe that messaging that we'll craft, but getting introductions to those people and having them find a way that they're connected to us is the area that is still the largest problem to overcome.
So for instance, if we go down the list of new grants, there's at least 7 of them that directly impact families and kids. If we just had a big blowhorn on that and say, hey, school communities, we wanted to let you know, and tie it to their work. You know, families are going to are getting, here's the therapy they can get. I agree with you that it has to be specific and we can't keep spending a lot of time on it, but I just think if we saturate it a little bit more and put a face on it relative to their work.
Getting the face is a hard part. Getting pictures from the grantees on that is a good impact story picture. It is always a heavy lift because they have confidentiality concerns. We fight this with them all the time. I know Raquel and I have already had 2 years of conversations with grantees of the importance of their impact reports. So other than kicking them back and not accepting them.
Well, you and I have had a preliminary conversation that any organization that reapplies, if they haven't done their impact statement, we're not gonna let them apply again.
Well, there's a difference between doing it and doing it well enough that we get a good impact story out of it.
Okay, let's set the goal just to get all of them in.
Well,
on time.
Yeah, okay, well, the
On time and with at least a thread of a story, but you know, that those things can be worked out.
Yes.
But I think the expectation that we start telling our story more frequently. I think the banner right now is a kickoff for July where we do a beautiful representation of just the names of the things that we have funded for that year and their amounts. Now, if I was like going, I don't think that's a good idea. Here's why we shouldn't do it. We've got a lot of anti-public service feelings around us in this country right now. And people don't, when I tell them it's property tax that we get, they look at me and say, give it back to me. Why? And I say, we can't by law. So here's what we do instead, right? So there is a certain amount of risk in that we pull out anti-folks, but
we've already,
I'm willing to risk
we've
that.
already battled those folks.
Yeah.
We don't hear those voices every year when we talk about grants and when we put out grant stuff. We haven't heard a complaint since
So
one.
I'm just saying it, I want to put the full picture out on the table. I know it might make us a target, but we can handle being a target because we're doing good things for people. Yeah. And if we can't get actual photos, let's start out with some stock photos
Yeah.
that show the same thing. Because putting a face on it does help people understand, oh, that's a kid who's getting a meal. That's a senior who's getting transported. Because they don't make the leap on their own. So I'm just saying, I think we need a little high, not because we haven't tried. We just need another moment of maybe quarterly, maybe try, I don't know. That's a workload issue that can be worked through here. But we have a huge story to tell between our grantees and the wellness center.
We need to find another vehicle to deliver the message. Because we've been doing that via social media and we've been doing that via grants, and it's obviously not capturing. So we're gonna need another vehicle for distribution on that. And that's something that we'll have to kick around to figure out where and how we can put that forward.
So I think for the leaders of the organizations, the nonprofits and the local entities, a specific something that appears in their inbox is a way. It might work.
I'm thinking logistics when you say inbox. So I'm gonna imagine we're talking about the board of directors for, let's say, the food pantry.
Yeah.
I don't have contact information.
But we can know the president of the organization and the CEO.
Right.
Boom.
That's why I'm saying we're gonna need to find another vehicle and or tailor the message, because those folks are already getting it. But we've got to find a different method to
And
communicate.
content.
Yeah, exactly.
I
content and
understand
the
they
vehicle.
get it, but we want them to get it. And that's a tough cookie.
Yeah.
But if they get used to every June, wow, here's the portfolio for the health district grants and look what it's doing for our people. And they get used to that over time. And whatever other thematic thing we want to do. Maybe the second one is toot on wellness. And it's saturated that message. And it's not necessarily a list of things that we're doing. It's a narrative and a portrayal of what we're doing. And after you digest this, if it is too big a bite, I get it. I just want to say what I've said in order for us to think in addition to, because we really should be known. The good works that we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, we're way better than we were 5 years ago.
Oh, absolutely.
But we still have so much more to do, and finding a better communication channel as well as some targeted content. That's something that we can workshop conversation around.
Well, I think we've milked the heck out of the ones we have already. I mean, we do a good job on social media. We do a good job on our website. It's a question of, there's this whole notion of high tech, high touch, like high tech website, e-newsletters, all of that. Maybe this one is a high touch, and I don't know what that looks like. I don't know whether it's a trifold that looks really pretty. I don't know. But I think it's something we should consider. And you guys gestate on it. And again, if it's like, I'm okay with that. Just keep doing the good work we're doing.
We'll circle back to figure out what that kind of content would look like. I know we've talked briefly about a full direct mail piece, which direct mail still works.
A drip campaign kind of thing.
Some sort of drip campaign, yeah. Which I know we've talked about, we've put on hold until we had enough programming content at the wellness center to make that level of investment worthwhile. But maybe we can do some smaller targeted.
Yeah, we're considering some of that stuff, like when the kitchen and the campus is rebuilt, like then to invest more in that, because they're not coming and seeing, they're coming and seeing the wow. So when you're gonna put out all that effort and money, you know, into some of these things, that was our thought process that we might be.
I think that's a very good point, is we need to ripen the message. And maybe we do something of this nature twice a year upon the new grants, and then 4 months later, the do on the Health and Wellness Center. Maybe we start off with 2 deeper storytelling. Maybe that's it. Okay. Anybody have a headache?
Yes. Yes, but I live with headaches, so yes.
This is a slow rollout. This is a on-ramp conversation. There's no pressure with it. It's just, what might we do?
Right, and, you know, just, again, this is more background for you, Annabelle, than for Jennifer, because she's been around this. Around this, just what word said, just this. We have been really trying to make sure that as the district is rolling out the calendar of programming, the information around that, everything is this build upon. So we'll build a foundation that's solid before we add that next layer, so that we're not trying to grow so fast that we're just gonna topple over.
Right.
So you'll see a lot of things that have been like, okay, that's been around for a year. Now we can add on this piece or that piece. So that it's not setting it up for the flash in the pan. One of the most detrimental things is to offer something, make a big splash, and then it completely fails. So we're really trying to make sure we're very thoughtful and methodical about a lot of those developmental pieces. I know you've already seen this conversation with us, but I want to make sure you knew, while things look like they're slow, we do a lot of groundwork before we'll launch.
Yes,
So-
and that's the right way to do it. Under promise and over deliver, right?
Right. Right.
Thank you for listening. Okay, board members' comments and future agenda items. We will be meeting quarterly, correct?
No, what
Okay.
I'd like to propose, if possible, what the problem that we're having is by moving it quarterly, is it the first month of the quarter, the second month of the quarter, third? We're having an impossible time getting them calendar.
I get it.
So what we'd like to propose is that we take strategic planning and government and public engagement, the 3rd Wednesday of every month, but we just do every other month, right? So this is April, we have government public engagement. May, we have strategic planning. June, we have government and public engagement. July, we have strategic planning.
What's Annabelle's other committee?
This is it right now.
This year, this is it?
Yes.
Okay, so no.
For now. Now, we don't know with the open board seat, when that person gets
Right.
settled, whether or not you want to automatically fill the new person into Bill's seats.
Yeah.
Or if you want to have a board conversation about filling and reorganizing any of your committees.
So at least you would know at this point that strategic planning will be on this rhythm. And you can
Exactly.
get, and I can get my calendar nailed down too.
Right.
And then I'll put in the, government and public engagement, and then I'll
Yes.
fill in with strategic planning. Is that how?
So you'll have every third
Right.
Wednesday busy because you chair strategic planning and this committee.
Mhm.
So your Wednesdays are always full, but we'll flip flop between Annabelle and
Okay,
blank,
all right,
whoever fills that seat, right?
that works.
Does that make sense? I think that'll be a lot easier than this.
Yeah.
It makes sense, so then the next one will be in June, and I will be out.
That's,
Okay.
and that's fine. We can still have a single person, or Jennifer could say, we don't have anything, we're canceled, but at least we had it calendared.
That's right.
Instead of trying to say, well, are we gonna do it? And
Will you be here for the board meeting in June?
Yes,
Okay, because I can't be, I just want to make sure we're gonna have a
Forum.
forum.
yes,
Yeah.
for the board meeting, I'll be here.
Unless Howard is taking a powder or the new person, yeah, we'll deal with that when we get there.
Right. Right. I have one piece I'd like to add because it showed up today. I believe I already mentioned to you, this came out very quickly from California legislature on AB 356, healthcare districts, County of San Diego. This is
Oh, yes, I
The
want to
bill-
talk about this.
the bill to establish a work group.
Yeah, so here's my question on it. So you know Palomar Hospital is in bad shape. Do you know
So-
about this?
Palomar Health District.
Right, Palomar Health District attached to Palomar Hospital.
Right.
Who is suggesting that we get involved in this?
Assemblymember Patel.
No, I'm
Assemb-
saying, who's saying we should be?
Assemblymember Patel.
Who is he or she?
She is the assembly member that serves Palomar. And so there, she's all the way down into like Rancho, Santa Fe, part of Poway.
No, I know.
Yeah. So,
See, she has a absolute legitimate interest.
yes,
Why would we get involved in this?
in part because LAFCO has come forward with the same message,
I know about that message.
which is the health districts in San Diego County should be working together in a more collaborative format. And because one of our sister districts is on the verge of failure, LAFCO and the assembly member all have the same message, which is why aren't the health districts and the other health entities having a conversation about ways to support, not financially, but ways to support a better integration of healthcare in San Diego
What would
County?
that look like?
That's the whole point of just convening a work group.
And who would be in the work group?
The health districts,
No, I mean, minutely, who would be there? Two from each health district?
no,
One?
so probably myself, Aaron, who is stand-in for Grossmont, Diane from Palomar, Jean from Tri-City, probably Adam at LAFCO. I'm not sure who at UCSD or who at Sharp.
What about Tri-City?
That's Jean,
Okay,
Dr. Ma,
Yeah.
their CEO. So the idea is either, and it could be a board member, but at least one representative from everyone to sit in the room and say, how does it work now? How can it be better integrated? What are some of the questions?
I'm reticent on that, but I'm gonna put that aside, and if this is some sort of convening that could help, I don't want us dragged into the controversy.
And
And I know
that's,
you don't either.
no.
See, I see this as, I see this as masking the problem. And I'm probably being too harsh on that. So if you're comfortable being involved, if Alex is comfortable with us being involved from a legal perspective, then, you know, I'll set aside my, resistance to it, and
The important component,
I know it's important. I'm not
And
gonna
again,
argue that.
it's not legislation to dissolve them or anything of that. No, it is simply to convene a work group so that Palomar has to talk to the other districts and the LAFCO.
Are they willing to be in this?
Yes, they've already been approached and they, to the powers that be, they said, we would love to be part of the conversation.
Okay, I'm not fond of us helping them clean up, but I'm being very sharp edged about this, so I'm gonna give way to this. You've got a full-time job right now without being part of a paramedic organizational save them, but I'll trust you to figure out how this fits in your workload.
My concern about us not being involved is most of our most of our hospital folks go to Palomar.
No,
And
I think it makes sense.
Okay.
So I'm there, not happily, but there.
Okay.
And we'll look forward to some reports about it. I hope this isn't a secret group. Is it a public meeting?
Oh, no, it's absolutely,
Is it
that's
gonna
why
be a
you have to
public
do a
meeting?
bill,
Okay,
is to be able to convene it. And
I
what,
feel better about it. if
what
it's a
they're
public
talking
meeting.
about doing is making it a 2-year bill. So this is where ACHD helps me understand the
Yeah.
legislative process. By putting us together now and saying, yes, we're going to support this, they can start the process, but no bill actually happens for another year. So that allows Palomar and all these partners to come together and at least have an open conversation. Of course, it's open, it's government,
Good.
but no legislation would even be considered any further unless this.
What
whole thing fails.
organization is convening this that they have to do the Brown Act?
The state assembly. Assemblymember Patel.
Yeah, but she's,
Because they're putting it together and they're an author on this, it requires it to stay in the open setting.
okay,
That
Even
way-
better, even better.
Yes,
Okay.
and,
Will it be on Zoom?
I don't know.
Inquire.
I can find out how the,
And you're
This-
the absolute
this-
right one to be there, Rachel. I'm not, there's no doubt in my mind on that. I just hate being dragged into other people's messes.
agreed,
But we have a vested interest.
because if they go down,
They're not gonna go down, but it's gonna be messy.
well, and that's the problem though.
Yeah.
Right now, there is legitimate concern.
I know. There's been for a while.
Right, well, now the state is actually noticing. As far as
Very good.
the assembly.
Yes. Okay.
But I can find out specifically.
Not
This
that I have
doesn't-
any feelings about this.
Yeah, this doesn't specifically give us any details because the idea is this is just the intro bill that says this is gonna be convened.
And it is smart that it's at the same time as our review. That's very fortuitous.
Yes.
And I'm interested that UCSD is gonna be there.
They are invited to be part of it. I think what's happening is those players are waiting to see if Patels can get the traction. If the districts step up, then I think the other entities will come in. But right now, Palomar has burned every
Bridge.
relationship.
And what about Sharp?
Same boat. They're sitting back waiting to see what's gonna happen.
Okay, and Grossmont is their own health district, so they're
Right,
gonna
but
be there in
Grossmont
that
would be
capacity.
part of the conversation because they buttress
Absolutely, absolutely.
the other side of
Yeah.
Palomar.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Palomar touches the three other districts.
Okay.
So it's an important piece to be part of the whole.
Okay, I am on. Are you copacetic with that?
I understand.
Okay,
Yeah.
and so, but workload is an issue.
I'm aware.
I think you have a 1.5 job already.
Yeah.
But you will be a marvelous part of the group because of your logic and your ability to put ideas forth and you're a keen observer. So this isn't about you.
I know. And there's no way for me to entangle Fallbrook into this.
Yeah.
It's not like we're gonna rest
I know.
them financially.
I know.
We couldn't, I mean, even if we wanted to, we don't have $700 million to cover their bond debt,
That's right.
let alone their
very scary.
$190 million operating loss from last year. So,
Okay, you got the go,
right,
okay? Anything else, friend?
No.
Okay, I will see you in hopscotch months. Okay,
well, and or May. Board meeting.
yeah, board meetings.
So, we're also looking at, we were talking today, maybe the April 30th for a special meeting to do
Appointment.
to do the interview with the two candidates. Because we have two candidates at this point, we really have to do an interview process
Right.
for the open seats.
Okay.
The problem with trying to do it in front of the board meeting
Mhm.
is it would have to be early, which is a problem with schedules. And to do it late means it's gonna be a late
Yeah, but our meetings, so.
typically, but May we have
Okay, let's.
budget review and a few other things. I mean, it'd be nice to have a full board for the May meeting if possible.
April 30th is a Wednesday.
Correct.
Okay, what time?
6 o'clock.
Okey-dokey. April 30th.
Correct.
Yes,
Okay, so leave my finance committee in and it'll count for this. You got me?
Got it.
You got me?
I got you.
Okay. Did you already post your meetings compensation?
Your stipend report.
No.
Okay, so
Oh, no. Yes.
make sure to include this later.
Yeah, we'll send this out tomorrow, this calendared request to make sure that everyone is on board, but you two were
Yeah.
here. And then obviously Annabelle, I wanted to make sure I caught you because you have the most difficult schedule. Sally has already indicated she can make it work. for this. 6 o'clock. So when we're keeping Annabelle in the loop, it's always gonna be a 6 o'clock.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Yes. so right now, yes.
Okay, here we go. Got it. And
Okay.
it
We'll get
works.
that scheduled tomorrow and sent out.
All right, go home, people, go home.
You're adjourning us.
I'm adjourning at that. 6:50. You okay?
Yeah. I have to go pick up the kids.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
I went to the,
Thank you, Annabelle. Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you.
National Reconciliation, the big gala for the NRCD, which is